Hi everyone, so we're going to continue our talk about the geosphere and talk a little bit more about plate tectonics. So tectonic plates, as we know, are part of our lithosphere, and that consist of the crust and the outermost part of our mantle in our asthenosphere is underneath it that allows those plates to move. So we have continents located on tectonic plates, and they're going to move around with those plates. So our major plates that we're going to talk about are the Pacific, North American, South American, Africa, Eurasian, and Antarctic plates here. So taking a look at some of our boundaries, which is going to be the really important part here to talk about how these move. So it talks about our geological activity at the surface of the Earth, and this movement between tectonic plates. So our plates may separate, collide, or slide past each other. So those are going to be important, and we're going to have different definitions for each of those movements. So these enormous forces are generated when these actions happen. So these actions are going to have mountains form, earthquakes, and volcanoes as well. And that's going to be along those lines of our plate boundaries. So we're not going to see as much activity in the center of these plates as we do at the boundaries of these plates. So if we're talking about mountain building here, so tectonic plates are continually moving. And when these plates collide or slip by one another or pull apart, these force causes rock to break and buckle. So that's what's going to cause these different movements along our plate lines. So when they collide, our crust is going to become thicker when they collide, and they're going to form mountain ranges. So an example would be our Himalayan mountains, and all the different mountain ranges that we see. We see them along the coast of Chile. That's another mountain range that we would see there. So there's 3 different types of plate boundaries, and these are going to be the ones that you want to highlight here. So we have divergent, transform, and convergent boundaries. And if we take a look at this map a little bit, we can see where those different boundaries lie. So if we're looking at North America, we can see that we have a transform boundary along the coast of California. And at top, we have part of a convergent boundary, and there's a divergent boundary right along that edge of the North American plate. If we look down to where I was saying before, our Andes Mountains along the coast of Chile, we see a convergent boundary. And all these different boundaries along the different places. We see that some boundaries are just found in the ocean, where some are on the land as well. So if we want to define some of these, we have our divergent boundaries. So rising magma pushes the plates apart. So for divergent boundaries, we're moving away from each other. We are separating. For a transform boundary, we're going to see the plates slip alongside of one another. So we're moving in 2 different directions, but not pushing or pulling against. We're just moving straight past each other. And our convergent, we have 2 categories inside. So our convergent is when plates collide. So 2 things can happen here. We can either have subduction, so when one plate goes beneath another, or we can have a mountain building. So those plates are pushing together and being uplifted, so being pushed up towards the sky here. And what these are going to cause is earthquakes is one of the things that can happen. So when the fault is broken and a lot of tension is released, we're going to see an earthquake occur here. So these rocks are under great stress, and they suddenly break along our boundary fault, and it's going to cause a lot of vibration, and that's going to be the earthquake. So once we've put too much stress, the rocks are going to just let go and create that very vicious shaking and vibrations. So earthquakes are occurring all the time, though a lot of them are very small, so we can't feel them. But when there's enormous stress of that rock, we're going to experience that really big earthquake. So we can see that really here. So here's our fault line, and it's completely moved our Earth because these two should be lined up. But since we had that huge stress, the surface of the Earth actually pushed it out of alignment here. So where are these earthquakes going to occur? So they occur at or near tectonic plate boundaries. So where we're going to see that is where plates separate, collide, or slip past each other. So we're going to see that at pretty much all the different types of boundary movements that we can see. And then over the past 15 million to 200 million years, a large number of earthquakes have occurred along the San Andreas Fault in California. So that's probably a really popular one that you've heard very frequently, and this is actually a transform boundary that is at this location. So we can see all these earthquakes occurring right here, where we have this really large clump of dots here, is going to be our San Andreas Fault. But you can see that many, many earthquakes have occurred at these plate boundaries. And we do see that some happen not so close to the plate boundary. Those are less common and usually less severe as well. So another thing that can occur from our plate boundaries moving are volcanoes. So a volcano is a mountain built from magma or melted rock that rises from the Earth's interior to the surface. So, and this can occur both on the land and on the sea. So this is going to be important because it's a different type here. So we're building a mountain. So we're going to see that in our convergent boundaries, but it's taking the interior inside. So these are very often located near tectonic plate boundaries where either colliding or separating happens. Again, our convergent boundaries. And then a majority of our Earth's active volcanoes are along the tectonic plate boundaries of our Pacific Ocean. And that's something that we're going to call the Ring of Fire. So if we look here, we can see that our Pacific Ocean plate comes along the side of our west coast of the United States. We're going to see quite a few there. We're also going to see it come up on this Asian side right here. So China, Japan, Hawaii is over there as well, and all the way around. So very much on our Pacific Ocean, both on our more Asian countries and on our west coast of America. So this is where we're going to stop for today. If you have any questions, make sure we ask.